everybody, in this particular week we're going to finish this Friends application. So we've been doing part 1, part 2, part 3. We've completed part 3, if my memory serves me correct. And I just asked a couple people and they confirmed it. We've done part 3. If you do not have a working part 3, you're going to want to pull part 3 out of the finished projects category. Finished projects are going to be out here on the website. And it is TableView solution. TableView Part 3 solution. This is the starting point for the app that we're going to build. I had one saved on my desktop. I'm hoping it's the current working one. I'm going to use that one. Let me just show you what we have in terms of Part 3. And Part 4, I believe, is adding the functionality behind the ad. I think we got the interface built, so we have the cell, and the cell is inside of the table list. The table view, and we're able to navigate through. Maybe we've added the functionality to add. I'm not quite sure yet. Let's see. Well, I'll take a look at part 4 and we'll find out. We found add and delete rows from the table view. Oh, we can add things, but we can't add and delete rows from the table view. So in part 3, we got this part where I have these entries that I don't want in here, and I'm trying to delete them. Oh, that does work. We have put that in. Did we put that in?
We have done this.
We did this part. Aren't we done with this app yet? What do we have left then?
Part 3.
I know we did part 3, but what did we have in part 4? Hold on a second. So part 3 looks like this. I thought we didn't add and delete stuff. Did we add it in?
Delete part or something.
Well, that delete just worked. Let me add another entry in here. Test. 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 Add. Stop. No problem. I'm going to start fresh. I don't know what that one was actually. It was on my desktop. It was called Friends 3. Let's take a look here. Maybe it was the add function that wasn't working. Okay. I've reset it with a brand new project, so let's go ahead. This one actually should work. Let me just make sure it does work before I continue. We're going to add more functionality to this one. Oh, you know what? It deleted it. It deleted it from the table view. It did not delete it from the file. That's why my app died on me a few minutes ago. So what you just experienced a few minutes ago is going to happen with version number 3. Hello? If you don't implement the code to delete the file, well, it did delete it from the file. Anyway, I don't know what the problem was, but we're going to continue with this one. I don't want to, excuse me, I don't want to talk over you. Thank you. I still hear stuff. Alright, so go ahead and unopen and open up part 3, the finished product for part 3. Let's go ahead and push forward and we'll see what's missing for part number 4. Okay, so part number 4, also downloadable from the same location. So in part 3 of the tutorial, we added the functionality for our table view. I should have just read this. To add and delete rows from the table and from the data source. So we have that functionality in there. And the source file for part 3 is available, so go ahead and open it up. Now, we're going to use it for part 4. So in this part of the series, we're going to be exploring how to group the rows. Okay, so group the rows of the tables and then sort them alphabetically. So we're going to add a little bit more features to this. So go ahead and open up friends.xcode, the project itself, which I've done a few minutes ago. We're going to navigate to and find the friends.h file. So the Friends app here, just to refresh your memory, because it's kind of weird starting over at the, well, it's the 4th part of the tutorial, by the way. We have friends.h and friends.m here that are representing our friends object. We're taking the friends and we're loading up into cells, and each one of the cells is populating the data out that is held in a plist file. And we have a button to save the plist file and to reorganize the plist files. All the functionality to that point should be working. Now we're just going to modify the display a little bit to group them so that we can take a look and see what's going on. So go ahead and open up, and I'm going to close the side piece here. Make my screen a little bit easier for you guys to see. Go ahead and open up friends.h. We're going to add another method in here. And the method that we're going to add in here, we're going to add the following method definition in friends.h. I'm just going to cut and paste it. We're going to keep a dictionary of items because we want to be able to sort this. Right now we don't have anything sorted. We just have blank object. We just have, you know, several objects of friends as we've created them. So go ahead and add this one as a method prototype. So I'm going back into Xcode. I'm going to just put it on the bottom here. And now I have a new method prototype, which is of data type NS dictionary, and it's going to be dictionary keyed by first character of key. So it's going to order our friends by the first character of their first name. So hopefully, let's see. So in friends.m, we're going to add the method to define the dictionary keyed by first character of key method, and add a couple of different methods to help obtain this particular dictionary, to help configure it. So let's add the following method prototype. Following method prototypes. So these are going to be private method prototypes that we're going to add to the interface. I'm going to actually, I believe that I have probably taken out the interface, but let me go back to the .m file and verify that. So I'm in friends.m. At the top I have the @ implementation. I'm actually going to put in here in the .m file an interface @interface declaration, and explain why I'm doing this. These are now private, can only be used inside of the implementation. Because I didn't put these two methods inside of the .h, so they did not go inside of friends.h, they went inside of friends.m. I added something to friends.h. I put in this method here, dictionary keyed by first character of keys, and over here I added yet two more. So when we've been opening up projects and when I've been editing it, I always go up and I remove the top because I'm never going to use it. In this particular case I had to put it back because I removed it in a previous step, but I'm going to use it in this case. So hopefully you guys are understanding why we're doing it this way. We're making it so it's private. Don't necessarily have to make it private. We could have put this back in the .h file and then implemented it in the .m file and everything would have been just fine. But here we can't use it outside of this. It's only used inside of friends. We want to do that because we are only going to use these two things inside of the method. So inside of the friends implementation, we're not going to want to extend it. We're not going to use it in our implementation of our class hierarchy. These two are going to be used inside of that method that we're going to implement. So it's just like support methods that are only used inside of the implementation, which is why we're doing it this way. So these prototypes would normally appear in the friends.h file, but we stick them in the .m because we want to use them only in the .m file, only in friends. So then we're going to add the three method implementations of those three methods that we created, the new ones that we created. I'm going to look at them here, and then I'm going to cut and paste and put them in because my formatting is probably going to get messed up. And this is the one that doesn't cut and paste well either. But this is the one that we put in the .h file. It's the dictionary keyed by first character of keys. So we're going to try and order the friends by the first character of their name. So we're going to create an NS mutable dictionary. We're going to call it temp dictionary. We're going to allocate it, and we're going to initialize it with a capacity of 5. It's dynamic. We can actually grow it past 5. We can hold more than 5 friends. Then we have an NS array for sorted keys, and then this NS array is going to be equal to NS sorted arrays of keys. So we're initializing it for string name in sorted keys. So when we create the sorted keys of this NS array, we're going to pull out the names. So it's going to be keyed for the name, and it's going to be from the sorted array of keys. That's going to come from the information that's stored in the plist file when we load it in. So down here we have the NS string, the first character is the first character of the string, which we're going to use for our different groupings. So we're going to take them and have like an A category, a B category, a C category, depending upon the names that we've added in. And then we have our temp dictionary, set object of array of keys having first character, first character is the NS string of the first character, which is the name substring of the index, index 1, which is the substring 1 of our information in our plist file. And then return as dictionary with dictionary, temp dictionary. So return the dictionary back. So we have a brand new, brand new set of information that we can populate out onto the TableView controller. Now where's this sorted arrays of keys, which we got up here? So sorted arrays of key, I kind of highlighted it because I knew I was going to come back to it. Where we have NS array that's being created from the sorted array of keys, and from there we're pulling out the N. Well, here's the sorted array of keys method implementation. This is one of those private ones that we stuck up here at the beginning, sorted array of keys. We also have array of keys having first character, another private method. So we made them private because we're only going to use them inside of this method implementation that we're going to do, and they're not like generic methods we're going to need to call from anywhere else. So this one then is going to return self.friends dictionary all keys. Sorted array using selector, using the selector of localized case sensitive compare, which is kind of like what we saw earlier in the Objective-C class, where we're going to compare for alphabetical order. So it compares the array items, sorts them per the comparer, not looking at the case sensitivity. So it's not, this one here is case insensitive, as it says. And then we have the array of keys having first character. Well, then this is the other method here. I know it's back to back. This should probably a good idea to put a space in between the methods so you can easily spot them. But in the second one, we're just basically bringing out the mutable arrays from the temp return array, which is the one we're creating that is going to have a minimum starting capacity of 5. We're going to take the name. So for each one of the names that's in the sorted array of keys, sorted array of keys is coming from the sorted array that we're getting back from the reading of the plist file into the array. We're going to sort the array by non-case sensitive, but we're going to compare it. By default, it sorts in ascending order. And then the name substring is going to be substring to index 1, which is the first item in the list, is equal to substring of first character. Then you're going to put them in there. So you're going to return temp return array add object name. So you're going to find for each item in the list, A's, the B's, the C's, you're going to add the names in from the mutable array that you've got there, and put in each item that starts with that first character. So it's a sort of the alphabetic order of the names, and then it's a sort of the names within the names. So if I have a category A, the grouping is going to have everyone who has the first name of A. B, everyone who has the first name of B. Given that I have more than one friend and I'm able to put them and populate them in the table correctly. So now we've declared 2 private methods in here, and we have an interface at the top of the implementation file. We've seen that. Not strictly necessary, but it's a good habit to get into if you want to keep them private. The dictionary keyed by first character of keys method, it's kind of a long name, uses both the array of keys having first character and the sorted array of keys to build the dictionary. So we put a log statement. We have a log statement in here somewhere, I believe. Unless I pulled it out. I pulled it out. Okay. Okay, there's no log statement, so it's okay. We could put a log statement in there to see which ones we're getting and print out the subpart. So we put a log statement in a view controller that calls a method and see the example output that will be produced in the log view. So okay, so the keys of this particular dictionary will become the headers of the sections. So now we have to set up the app delegate. So before we do that, I'm going to copy these methods into our friends, because what we're doing is we're just changing the friends right now. So let's see what happens if I cut and paste. If this doesn't work, I'll open up the solution and do it from there. I'm hoping this will work. Now this is giving me my unimplemented methods, because this is what that, yeah, and this is not an error message, by the way, it's a warning, because I haven't implemented all the methods. So let's see what happens. I have an error already. Let's see. Is the compare? Oh, compare has got a special, got an extra space in it. Thank you. That's a good find. I believe Wow, I got lucky. Okay. I believe that it pasted okay. I got lucky. The other time I was working with this one, it just didn't. Although I don't like the synthesize here. I'm going to put the synthesize up here. I like to put my synthesizes at the top. This is the implementation of friends. So I put it in between. So that's better. If you put the synthesize up top, then you can find them easily. So now you see that the yellow warning message has gone away, and now I've got a project here that's got the correct friends that are being sorted by first alphabetical character. So now we have to set up the TableView controller to display its data using the groups instead of using the standard display rather than the single section. By default, it's the single selection or single section mode. So the first step is to initiate the controller using the grouped styled in the app.delegate.m. So what are we going to do? We're going to comment out or remove this line and replace it with this line. The differences between the lines, this one says view style plain and this one says view style group. So we could just edit the line. So in fact at this point I'm going to opt for the editing. And just to reiterate the point, if we run it, what we're going to do is we're going to change. Let me just show you the before and after before I start changing things. Here is the before. This is the single view, single item view. Where we have these lines here. We're going to change this format with one line of code to a grouped view. By changing this, so it's gonna look, well, just keep this mental note of what this looks like right now. This is a single. I'm going to open up my app delegate, if I can find it. Here it is. I'm going to open up the app.delegate.m file, and I'm going to go into, well, let's see, probably going to be in launch options, but let me just make a refresher note here. Oh, hello. So let's see. First step is initiate the controller using the group style. Looks like I'm going to have to find it. So self.friends.viewController equals, this is the allocation of the group controller, so let me go take a look here. It's going to be right up here at the top. No, it's going to be right here. Friends.self.groupController. Here it says plain, style plain. I'm going to change that to style grouped. Style grouped instead of planed. So let's see. I'm just going to edit it because I hesitate cutting and pasting too much. Grouped. That was easy enough. Alright. And I'm going to put little spaces in here, clean up a little bit. So now we have a grouped view. Okay. Now we're going to make the following changes, because now, even though we have a group view, it's not going to show anything in the group. If we open it up right now, it's going to be empty, because it's looking for single entries and we don't actually have anything. We haven't created it yet to put it in there. So now we're going to make the following changes to the Friends View controller, which is controlling our friends. We have them sorted. We did that in the Friends. Now the Friends View controller is going to create it so that we get the grouped interface that we're looking for. The entire file is listed here as several changes have been made. Great. Let's see. Adding view controller, adding view controller. Let me go down to the part that's different. We have a lot that's different. Hold on a second. We're returning the grouped. Alright, so we're running the method for the friends dictionary keyed at first character at all keys inside of the table view. So we're loading the grouped friends instead of the single friends inside of the table view. If we go back down to the bottom, the entire file has been replaced here. So let's just take a quick summary rather than going line by line. Altering the number of sections in the table to the number of rows in each section to take advantage of the group data for each one of the friends class. So instead of having 3 rows, we're only going to have 1 now because we're going to put a group in there. Also noting that we supply the header for each one of the sections in the table view. The header is going to be the alphabetical character that's going to classify each group for the groupings we've designed. So we're going to take advantage of the new groupable data. Also noting that we can supply a header for each one of the sections for the title of each section if we wanted to, using the method of the alphabetizing the keys, yada yada. Okay, most important changes are made in the table view. So the cell for row at index method changes are necessary to get the proper entry in each one of the sections for each one of the rows. So study the code carefully. Run your app. We'll see. I'm going to cut and paste and see what happens here. If this doesn't work, I'll cut and paste out of the original. But essentially, we're reformatting it so that the there we go. We're reformatting it so that the table view is showing the group data by its alphabetical order, and we're setting the titles for each one of the groups to the alphabetical character, using those methods that we've added to the friends class, friends object. So let's see. We should get a significantly different looking UI. Not significantly, it's still going to look like a bunch of friends, but hopefully the grouping will work for us. And this is going back to the friends view controller.m. Probably not the best way of doing it. Let's see. Oh, remove the slide, didn't I? Okay, no problemo. I have a solution to this. I'm going to take the finished number 4. Oops, not this one. Sorry. And this is the contents of friendViews controller.h. Probably could just copy the file in. I'll just cut and paste it, just making my life easier. Oops, wrong file. Which file was this? FriendsViewController.m. This is the one I'm looking for. Thought I had pulled that out. Let's see. I think I pulled out the M errors. Pulled out the H instead of the M. Momentarily, I'll have the problem solved. Edit copy. What is this set? Here, select all. Where do you see select all? Oops, select all. There we go. You guys like hotkeys. And I was noticing that over the weekend. Everyone's like, oh, it's Control Shift this, Control Shift that. I'm like, oh man. Alright, so after making the changes to the viewcontroller.m file, we should now have them grouped because the grouping is given to us in the friends, and we're loading the friends in now from the group methods instead of the single methods. So let's take a look here. I believe that's the end of this part of the tutorial. The next part actually creates the file for us, which is a very trivial part. Actually, we're pretty much done with this one. I believe the last part, I don't know what the last part does. Let's see. Some minor changes to it. So now I only have as B's So I see the grouping here now. It's still taking the friend, it's still sticking it in here. I believe we're going to have, let me put an A in here. Another, because I deleted my people. Another friend. Email, another one. Another at gmail.com. 555. Crash, bang. Here we go. We have another friend in here. The part that we added to the friends was the alphabetical ordering, by the way. And then we added the titles. And then all we had to do is change the grouping and have it use the grouping from the alphabetical. So it's calling the alphabetical methods instead, which is why we're getting them now in sections. So we have A, B, C that comes through. Which is actually a pretty interesting way of doing it. You see this a lot. You can probably stick something else up here instead of the alphabetical order. And put in, you know, A people, B people, or something, C people. Or just leave it like this. It looks like a more feature-rich address book, actually. So yours should do that. If it doesn't, I'm going to leave mine open now. Go for the solution. Look at the solution and see what the difference is. Probably something having to do with a cut and paste on the view controller.h file. So let me just take a look here and make sure. I believe we have finished this part of it. Is what we needed to do is create the grouping. Nope, there's more to it actually. Run the app. By default, we now see the grouping, and the table view will be displayed with the headers as moving bars across. So this is what we got. There is one little piece of this left. So you have to have more than one group in order to see the groupings. So if we modify the style, we haven't changed the style yet. If we modify the style in the attribute inspector for the table view in friends view controller to XIB, we can change what it looks like. So we saw it though, but as shown here, the table will be grouped with larger divisions between each section. So this is with the single default style. So let's go ahead and modify the style. We saw it a few minutes ago. It looks pretty good to me. We can further enhance it by here's a friends view controller. Let me clear some real estate out here. Put this over here. So I'm taking the friends view controller and I'm going to modify the style. And the style that I'm going to modify to is going to be the one that is going to be for the table view. So I'm going to click on the table view that's in here. And the table style here says plain, and I'm going to switch it to group. See this little thing? So it was just a plain one. If I do it to group, what we're going to get is, like, I think a colored background, some default color. We can change the color of that with bubbles or some sort of a section, like tabs looking. So I'm going to change it to group. There we go. Looks like that. So it was done by the style that was implemented for the table group. It has nothing to do with our programming. So we're just going to change the style. We can actually change the color. The separator is a single line. Etched, we can go single line. I didn't really notice that much. A little etched on the sign here. Default color, you know, we can make the lines, let's say, I got some purple lines going on here now. So you can go ahead and modify the appearance of it, the scroll, different characteristics of it that you can kind of change here. So let's see what else there is left here to modify. So we changed it to grouped. Now if you select group, the items are going to look like this. So we are done with it. Now we should get something like that that shows up. So let's take a look. Make sure our project works, because then I can use this incredibly stable program at this point. And let's see what mine looks like. Any moment. Ah, very nice. So I could change, you know, I could change the background color stuff as well. It looks a little bit more sophisticated. It was one button change. It was one option change, actually. So how are you going to know about that option? Well, and what ends up happening is you have to experiment with it. Or you go online and you look up all the different options you possibly do. What you do is you find a style you like that somebody else is using, and you go, what are you using? And you go, oh, this is the group style instead of the single style? Oh, okay. How do you do that? And you just, oh, you just change the option. Oh. So one button click gave us an entirely different look. So I like this look a little better, actually. It looks a little bit more like I spent more time working on the app. So it was the same app I had before. I just made one change. So. Alright, so I'm going to leave this one up and open up section number 5, unless we have questions on number 4. So I'm going to throw this one away so I don't clutter up my desktop here. That was number 3. So I have a working 3. I don't need those 3s anymore. I can work with number 4 now. What are you complaining about? Oh. What did I do? I threw it away. Okay, hold on one second. Let me pull it out of the trash. What did I pull out of? I pulled 3 out of the trash. Not such a good idea, I guess. Let's see. Just make sure I'm going back to the same project I accidentally threw away. Oh, okay, I'm back. Alright, so the next part of this is going to add a few more enhancements to it. And what are we going to do? We're going to do number 5. We only have one more part after this, I believe, but this might be the last part. So this part is going to take the 4 that we ended with, that we sorted alphabetically, and we grouped them together. And now this one's going to be the part in which we are going to build minor additions to the functionality to create the plist file if it doesn't exist yet. All this one is doing is adding the ability to create that plist file so that when we deploy it and we give it to all of our friends to use, they don't have to drag and drop a plist file over into our documents directory, which is what we did in tutorial number 1. So one way of doing it. This way the program can be installed normally on the device without having to drag and drop. So open up part 4, and then we're going to edit the load friends from plist method to check for the existence of the file first. So we're going to add the following to append the existing code. Do not remove the code that's already there. What are we going to do? We're going to check to see if the plist file exists in the documents folder. So NS File Manager, if you guys remember from Objective-C, this is what we're doing actually. This is the File Manager, NS File Manager, Default Manager, File Exists at Path, plist, checking to see if it exists at the path. So it's running a method, File Exists at Path, on a new instance of Default Manager. So NS File Manager gives us the ability to work with the file system. If not in the documents, get the property list from the main bundle. It exists in the app. We created it in the app. We have the property list from the bundle, which is going to be our data that we're including in the app. We created it inside of the app and we saved it in there. It's just not in a file format. Instead, it's in a bundle format. We're going to create a file out of the bundle. Or we're just going to create the file from the structure of the bundle. So plist path is going to be equal to NS bundle main bundle. Path for resource friends. If you called it friends with a capital F or a small f, you have to make sure it's case sensitive. It is case sensitive. Of type plist. We can do this for a text file. We can do this for a plist file. And we're just going to find the file inside of our project. Read the property list into memory as an NS data object. So we have the NS data is going to be equal to a plist, which is really an XML format. So plist XML. Which is equal to NS File Manager, Default Manager, Contents at Path, plist path, which is plist path is what we found above, which is going to find the path to inside of our project, which is going to be the documents directory. Error, so an error string, just so we can keep track of what happened here. If the path doesn't exist, if the device is full, it might respond to a particular event. NS property list format. Convert the static property list into a dictionary object. So NS dictionary temp. So it's an NS dictionary type. Convert over to the NS property list serialization property list from data. We'll get the property list from the XML format, which is going to give us our tags. So we're going to get name, address, telephone number, zip code. And the mutable option here for the NS property list, mutable containers and leaves, format it, and then send the error description to the error temporary string variable that we've created. If we have it, if we have the temp, if we've created an error, which is going to be here if we have the if not temp. We don't create the temporary data from the plist file because we can't read it. We can't do something with it. Then we have an error. So we're just going to print out to the NSLog that there's an error reading the format. And move this line at the end of the method. Well, this is the other method to self-friends, excuse me, friends dictionary, to take it here. Well, we're going to move this line to the end, insert this code at the beginning before that line. So we're going to put the code in between on the method here, and we're going to the method that says load friends from plist. So let me take a look here. I have two versions of something opened up here. I'm going to assume this one's the most current. And we are going to be in friends.m. And we're modifying, let me take a look here and make this a little bit bigger. The load friends from plist. At the bottom of this method here, load friends from plist, you know what I'm going to do? To make my life easier, I'm just going to copy it from the solution, actually. Let's see. Which one's going to be faster? Move this line to the end of the method. Let me take a look here. Self-friends. Oh, you know, this is pretty easy. I can put this one at the end and just insert that code right here, which is what's going on. So I'm going to do that. It's easier than copying it. Unless this doesn't paste properly, then I'll just replace it from the solution. And it pasted properly, so that saved me a little bit of time. So what we want to do at the end is actually load it. But we're going to load it. We're going to check for the file first. If the file doesn't exist, we're going to create it from the bundle, information from the plist that's stored in the bundle. And then if we have an error, we're going to report it. Otherwise, we're going to load it. So we move that line to the last line to actually load it. So it's a dictionary with contents of file. So friends dictionary now equals this dictionary that we have. You know, we're going to load from the file after we create the file. So to complete the finished method, oh, the complete finished method now looks like this. Don't worry about it. I've already cut and pasted it, put it in. So remove the existing friends.plist file from your home library application. In order to see if this actually works, we have to remove the method because the method's already, excuse me, the file is already there. So if we go to write to the file or open the file and the file's already there, we're not going to exercise this new check that we put in for the file. That if the file's not there, we have to create the file. So we're going to remove it, and then we're going to run it to see what happens. And then hopefully we won't get some explosion going on. But let me just see what's going on here. Remove the existing friends. Okay. Run your app again. It will be refreshed back to the starting data you added to the friends file in your project. It should be pulling it out of the bundle that we created. So let's just try that out actually. I'm almost afraid to try it, but I'll have to remove the file first. So I'm going over to my home directory, and this is what's going to be in what, application support or something? I can't remember the name of the directory. Now I have to remember. Library, thank you. Library, application support, iPhone simulator, 6.1. Is it documents? Documents. Are you the person who's come by to take a look? Or from the meetup? Okay, cool. I didn't mean to point you out. I'm sorry. I was just curious. Applications. It would be lucky enough. Nope, that's sort me. Find the right application. Touch control. No. Like, where are these applications? Parse. It's probably going to be the first one. No, chooser. I should check in a systematic order. Friends! I found it. take and drop this into the garbage. Remove it. Otherwise, we can't tell if it actually worked. So, run the program. And let's see what happens. It should be loaded up. I put my name in there. Remember before I added another friend and I had multiple entries in there. So now I should come out, well, unless we have an error, I should create the file for us. I should have left that folder open so we can go check it. Crash, bang. Nope, good. So this is the data that I put in the plist file that's in the application. All my other data is gone. If I go back into that folder, I closed it, but if I go back into that folder, if you've done the project from tutorial, in the first part of the tutorial, we created the plist,
Right.
friends plist, and in the friends plist, this is the data that I put in. I put in my name, and then I have my email address, my telephone number. So this is the data that got populated out into the initial file that was created. Let me show you. No, I didn't copy and paste it. This time the app created it from the bundle, and the bundle contains the information I gave it. The bundle is going to be what's inside of the app as a starting point. So it looked for that file that actually does exist in the project or in the app folders, took it out of the bundle, made it into a text file, plist file, copied it in the documents directory, then loaded it from the documents directory and stuck it into the app, is what that did. So if I take a look here, I'm going to change it slightly just to verify that it is working correctly. I think it's the second one in. Here it is here. Ooh. Well, the app's still up. It hasn't. Oh, you know what? We haven't saved it. We just loaded it, but we haven't saved it yet. Yeah. It is appearing because it's taking it from the bundle, loading it up into a string array, taking the array, populating out with the friends, making the file, but we haven't saved it yet. So we still have to modify the save to actually save the file. Or actually, you know what? The save should save it. Let me just take a look here. Is it saving it? We may not have finished the tutorial yet. I think there's an extra couple steps to it. So this is a good thing that I went back in to look at it. It is empty right now. So I'm wondering, what do we need to do? Let's take a look here. So the document folder will remain empty until another friend is added. So another friend to the list that needs to be added. And then once you press the add button pressed, method is going to call, and it's going to be saving it just like we did before. So if I stop this here, let me stop the build actually and change the data. I think I still have it running. No, I stopped it already. Okay, good. So I'm going to change this number here to all 9s. There we go. That's my telephone number. So if I run it, it should pull it from the bundle. Well, actually, good question to recompile it. Let's see. I should have recompiled it. I'm sorry? How did I get there? Hold on one second. See, I got 99. So I pulled it out of the bundle. Let me get to the home directory again. You might have to unlock it if you have it blocked from right permissions. And one of the tutorials has the steps to unlock it. I'm going to home. I'm clicking on library. I'm clicking on application support. And I'm clicking on iPhone simulator. And I'm clicking on 6.1. I'm clicking on applications. And I accidentally found it. It's the second item here. This numbering system makes no sense. It's in one of these folders. I found friends. And then here's documents. Which one of the application numbers it's going to be in, you have to kind of find it. You can find it out by, if you click on when I see that the main app here is called Friends. It's not going to run on my Mac system. It's only going to run on iOS, which is why it's got a circle and a line through it. But it's a running APK, app file, APP file. Now Java's coming back at me. I'm sorry?
I don't see library on the phone.
If you don't see a library, you have to unlock it, make it visible. It's protected. It's hidden. You have to unhide it. So, and if you go back to tutorial 2 or 3, no, probably in the first one. It's probably in the first tutorial because we had to copy it over. You'll see this instructions for it. So now I'm going to add somebody here, and I'm going to see it come back, I hope. So I'm going to add another friend. Email another at gmail.com. This other friend's going to have another interesting email address. So now I have another friend. So let's go see what happened here. Lo and behold, I have friends.plist now created because the add button is going to create it for us. It was already editing it. It was already saving it. So we had that functionality working from before. We just never created it. Instead, we just copied it into that folder initially. And then you know that it kind of also demonstrates the bundle aspect of it. So that whatever I put in the plist file out here in the project becomes part of the plist file is part of the bundle. It doesn't write it out to the file system. It just makes it available to us. So what a lot of people do is they put a bunch of stuff in the plist file and write it to the bundle. You can keep it in the bundle, or you could write it out. So it depends on how often it's going to change. This is write protected, so you have to write it out to a file in order to change the data. Otherwise, if it's just going to be static data that you're going to use inside of the app, then you can just modify. Actually, there are ways of modifying it, but you can actually just use it for settings. But why would you want to do that? It's kind of like using strings, I guess, going back to the Android from last weekend. But there's better ways of doing it. So, but it's for this particular case, it's actually pretty useful. Everybody get this far?
So
Or
you can,
close?
you can have
Yeah.
one plist for each application.
Oh, you can have many plist. You can have as many files as you want and call them different things. This one happens to be called friends.plist. I can create one that says enemies. One that says good students, bad students, I don't know. I didn't put them all in the app and then do the same thing with them, treat them differently. Have different parts of the apps, read and write to enemies and friends and good students and bad students and all the other ones. No, it's just one example of one. I could load multiple plists into the friends as long as I have the right entries for each one of the, if I have 3 spots, I'm going to put 3 pieces. Or 2 pieces, leave 1 spot empty. I can populate it. I can populate the table view with any data that I wanted, populate it from any list. Just doing the same technique. Just applying the concept to a different purpose, essentially. Very flexible.
Is this works as a file? Text file?
It does work as a file. In fact, other parts of the application can look at it and use it as a file as well. So within the file, within the application, it's a way of saving the data, making it persistent. So as opposed to uploading it to a website, or as opposed to putting it in a database. A database is another good choice here. And if you remember, prior to this tutorial, we looked at core data, very similar core data. I think we looked at website or transferring it. I can't remember. I don't think we've hit databases yet, though. No, we haven't built any. We have? We haven't. Okay, I guess I know that's coming up. So
if user wants to take this copy of backup of this content,
if the user wants to take a backup of it, if they're backing up the entire app folder, yes, it would back up. It's in the documents folder. You could, if the user had a utility that was backing up all of their apps, it's probably taking each one of the folders that the app is stored in and just making a copy of it, or some sort of an archive. It would include it as part of the project. It's just in the documents folder. You could, technically it's a file, you could have the app send it somewhere too if you wanted to. So.
I'm just trying to compare this one with the say contact list, right? You sync.
A real-time application to sync the contact list with. I'd pull it. I wouldn't even do that. Why would you want to do that? Just use the contact list.
No, it's similar to that.
I
Not
see.
necessarily it is the same place, but can they back up this?
I'm not quite sure I heard the tail part of what you're saying, but you can actually write a very similar app, if that's what your objective was, to the contact list. It would work the same way. I don't know, I seriously doubt that the contact list on the phone is using a different format, different technique to actually store the contacts. And you
It should
can.
also use the plist file.
I'm sorry.
It should also use the plist file.
Don't know actually. I haven't looked at it in a long time. My guess is it's probably not using a plist file. It would be vulnerable.
Yeah.
It would cause a security problem if you stored it in a file. It's kind of like on computers when you put all your passwords and stuff or your names and address and your email addresses in a file. Like the old cookie days and the cheap virus goes through and reads all the text files. This is just text file, but it is hidden. It's running with this app, and this app is using an app, and it's in the application folder, so it's not visible to other apps. But in essence, however, it would be a security problem. I would think it's like a cookie file, which is very similar in concept. And yes.
What happens when you add a record through the simulator? Another record.
What happens when I add another? Let me change it. I'm going to call this one Good Student. Let's see. Oh no, we just leave this one alone. Here, I'll make this one 1111. Should add it to the list. Good Student. The bottom here. I made a new category. I wanted to use something that was different in terms of the category. And then it should also be in the plist file, should be updated as well. So if I close this and load it back up again from the simulator, all three of those entries should come back, and they will. So, any moment. I think we have one more small little change to make, and then we're finally done with the friends. Yep, there it is. All three. And this list scrolls, I'm just not using it. If you had your finger on here, you could scroll it. And then you could pick up the events. We haven't really picked up an event yet. I believe that's probably the next part, but I'm not quite sure what I have on there. Probably just puts a toast. Now I'm doing Android again. It probably puts a toast message out. No, that's an Android. A dialogue or something with who you picked. Classic kind of thing would be to open it up, and then if you open it up, or maybe put a picture out here. There's no reason why you can't put a picture out here. Populate a picture in the list or something, and then when you click on it, it dials that person, or it text messages that person or something, which would be actually quite easy to implement. Yeah. Did we do the send mail yet? I'll have to take a look for that tutorial. Are you calling up the mail? Send mail? Oh, we'll take a look. So I'll take a brief intermission after this tutorial, and I'll take a look for send mail. But let me just finish the last part of this one, because it's very small. So hopefully you'll have part, I lost track of what part we're on, part 5 of this done. We just did part 5. There's no part 6? Oh, perfecto. I thought there was a part 6. I had a part 6, and let me just make sure I don't have a part 6. I thought we were gonna, I have a part 6, I don't have it uploaded. Do we have a part 6? Because when we click on something, I want it to do something. I don't know if part 6 is doing that. Is there not? There's a part 7 to this. We might just want to hold on to this. And let's just see what's out here, actually. No, we're only up to part 5. So I have a part 6 on this, but it's not uploaded. And we'll skip that one. So it's enough of the table view for tonight. We're doing this.
Can you just try this email
Excuse me?
in the table view? Can you just try the email?
It would be too hard for me to do on the fly without making any mistakes on it to give you perfect code. I have one that's called send mail, and let me just hold that. Let me just hold that thought for 1 second. Let me stop this here. This is the end of. So we have the end of the table view friends example until another class meeting. So hold on to the finished one unless you want to start fresh with the solution for part number 5.